You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
This is episode 765 of the Dressage Radio Show, official podcast of the United States Dressage Federation on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. Today we talk to Kate Kostenbader about her Winter Wellington experience, and Dr. Hilary Clayton discusses the new noseband measurements with us. This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield from Wellington, Florida.
And this is Megan McIsaac from Murrieta, California, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show. Hey, Reese.
Well, hello. Hi, girl. How are you this week?
I'm great. It's Monday, daylight savings time. I'm pumped.
I hate you. I really hate you. You're like chipper, and I'm like, I get on, I'm telling everybody, because I hope if anyone else is feeling this way, I'm like, Megan, I am so tired. I can barely keep my eyes open. We're recording on 5 o'clock on Monday, which is a little earlier than normal. I'm like, what is wrong with me? And Jen pops in, our producer. Awesome. She goes, daylight savings time. And I was like, oh, thank God, there's nothing wrong with me. Like, I've had a cup of coffee. I have done it all. I'm feeling a little better now that we're going, but my goodness. You're whooping it up, and I'm like dead on the floor. I was like, oh yes, daylight savings time. And I'm not gonna lie, I did have a fun weekend this weekend. We had the Challenge of Americas on Friday night, which was so much fun. And then I went to Jumpers with my wonderful clients, and we sat in the beautiful area. And yeah, so I was partying. I was like, wow, I am tired. There was a lot going on last weekend. And back to work today.
I'm ready to take on the world. Let's go.
You're ready. Your energy is infectious. I love it. So how are things going out there? What's going on in California?
Well, for me, the horse scene isn't that great for me. However, I've had a few challenges. I get to watch my coach, Kathleen Rain, train horses. And awesome. At first I thought, oh my God, this is so terrible. I'm not riding, kind of depressed about it. This is awful. Sure. And then I begged Kathleen if I could watch her ride, and she was like, fine. And it was so inspirational. It was just, the first day was just beautiful to sit back and watch. And then now I've just been studying her hands, her seat, her legs. And it's been really good. And then the other thing I've been doing is going out to other barns, like, barn besties, but Western. I went to a show jumper competition. I saw some foals, and honestly, I thought, oh, this is just so terrible. I just want to focus and ride. And it's actually been motivating me. So my suggestion to everybody is get out of your sandbox and try something different.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I'll go through periods of time. I mean, I went to a great lecture last night. Dressage for Kids had their teacher for training, and Allie Brock and it was literally like just basically an open mic with Allie Brock. You can ask any questions. And it was so fun, but it was inspirational too, because, and we talked about it, is with social media, everybody puts out that everything is wonderful and amazing, and nobody's really real. You and I are, when you have your friends look at other people and you're like, oh my God, it's easy to just think of the best things, right? Because those are the three-pick things you're putting online. But, to be able to, be real with people and understand, like, everybody struggles. Everybody has down horses. I mean, I've also had a little bit of that happen this season. But, it's given me time to work with my new one a lot more. Like, I have a lot more time to spend time with him. And that's been great, because he whinnied me the first day yesterday.
Oh, he did.
Oh, he saw me whinnied, and I was like, oh my God, let me give you more sugar. I was so excited. He's like, that's my mommy. And I was like, oh, but I'm trying, I get him out twice a day and walk him in the afternoon. He has gotten used to me throwing the chuck it with my dog and the horse grazing. Like, I have a horse grazing and I'm chucking my dog, like I am, girls, we're multitaskers.
Yes, we are.
But I think that's really good. And I think that's so easy to forget. It's hard if you have a plan and then you're not able to go on that plan. Sometimes the plan works. You and I have had the plan work beautifully. And when it does, you and I celebrate, because we're like, oh my God, this is great. Yeah, you're on a high. And then, sometimes it doesn't always happen that way. And So I'm with you. Sometimes you just have to, you need a minute to kind of stew. And then, that's where your friends come in. It's like they listen to you stew. And then if you have good friends, they're like, come on, let's go. Let's
go.
figure out something different. And, for us, it is a big thing for us to go off and train. You really leave your business and go and need that time for rejuvenation. So it's hard when it doesn't work. And, but I'm proud of you that you've been able to do that. That's awesome.
But now I'm excited to go home.
Yeah.
I have been chomping at the bit to come home. And when do you head home, Reese? I
am mid-April. So I stay in Wellington a little bit longer than you stay in California, mostly because, again, most of my business is jumpers here and eventers. And they're here. They stay until a little bit more mid-April. So I stay to mid-April. And I kind of will have people here the whole time now. I have a new group that just came in March 1st, which is really fun. So, getting to show them the ropes a little bit and work with a new group. And that's been awesome. And we still have people visiting. So we're still full steam ahead down here, but I will be ready. Also, by the time April comes around, it's starting to get beautiful in Kentucky. And that's a really good thing. So, yeah. And Megan, I got a great tip from my sports psychologist. I didn't even tell you about this. I wanted to tell you and surprise everyone in our chat. But I got a great tip, and I think this is a good tip for a lot in writing or parenting, relationships, however you want to talk about it. But especially with writers with confidence issues or just in general trainers that are working with people. So it's the pilot analogy. And Larissa Brazier, my sports psychologist, gave me this. And so I work with her on a regular basis. And especially if we work together a long time. And there's times where I'm a huge sports psychologist person, mental health person, sports psychology. And so I was working with her last week. And the analogy was, this is not the best, but you're on a plane, the plane is going down. And the pilot has 3 ways they can respond. So you're the pilot of your horse. You're the pilot if you're teaching your lessons, however you want to take this analogy, right? There's 3 ways the pilot can do things. First one, you hear nothing from the pilot.
Yikes.
Plane's going down. You're working, as you're like with your seatmates, there's nothing you can do, right? Then the second one is the pilot gets on the announcer and they're like, oh my God, we're going down. They just lose it. They freak out, right?
Oh God.
Not helpful. Not helpful. Third, which is what we all should be, and we call it the calm pilot, is pilot comes on, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a trained pilot. The plane is going down. I need you to put your air mask on. I need you to put your head down this way. I need you to help your neighbor, and I will be back on, but please know that I'm doing my job that I'm trained for. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm pilot number 3. Please, I want that guy or girl, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a great analogy, right? Is just, we want to be the calm pilot with horses. Probably kids do. I don't have kids, so I can't help with that. But, with horses, we want to be that calm pilot. And that is, okay, like today I was riding my young one, the new one, and the 2 horses in the pastures were losing their minds. And when I mean losing their minds, I actually mean losing their mind. Running, leaping, squealing, all the things.
It's a good time.
Yeah, thank God I had people the owners were around so they could handle it. But I was like, I had to say to myself, okay, I'm the calm pilot. Like, we got this. We're going to come over here. We're going to do this turn on the forehand exercise, and you're going to listen to me. And, he was wonderful, and we were able to work through it. It was great. I was really proud of him.
Oh, and that's wonderful.
So that's the calm pilot analogy. So I thought it's my trainer tip for everybody.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Keep riding through. I love it.
Keep riding through. Well, I think it's important to ride through when you can. I think there is a time where you can call it and be okay that you need to get down. That is fine. That please don't, that's okay. I think we were actually talking about this last night on our way home, a couple trainers and I. You don't have to ride through. I mean, if you can, great. If you're a horse and you are in a position that you can work through it, you should do it. This particular situation, I was the calm pilot and I was able to work through it. Mm-hmm. But if you cannot and you can safely get down. Like, you don't want to do that all the time. Ideally you work through it. But I think that that's important to remember too, is you don't always have to, if you can't handle it, you should not handle it. But you do need to be the calm pilot and get down. But in general, you want to stay up, if you can, you want to go to an exercise that you can achieve. And that's what I did. I knew I could go to a turn on the forehand and make it big and have them kind of look to the inside, bend them to the inside. And that was really good. So just something to think about as we do that. So anyways, that's my analogy.
Thanks, Reese.
So you're welcome. Well, right after this commercial break from Kentucky Performance Products, we have Dr. Hilary Clayton.
This Nutritional Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. Biotin is a B vitamin and has become commonplace in feed rooms across the world because of its reputation as an effective hoof supplement. An interesting fact that was discovered by researchers looking at biotin's impact on hoof quality was that horses with normal blood levels of biotin still had poor quality hoof horn, and that despite normal blood levels, horses responded to high doses of biotin given orally. This tells us that unhealthy hooves are not necessarily a result of a deficiency. Over the years, multiple other studies have found a statistically significant improvement in overall hoof condition when horses are supplemented with at least 20 milligrams of biotin per day. Researchers found that if improvement in hoof quality was seen within 8 to 15 months of supplementation, the horse would need to remain on biotin the rest of its life to maintain that improvement. Other nutrients such as zinc, methionine, and iodine can also affect hoof quality. A well-balanced hoof supplement will contain all of these nutrients in addition to the 20 milligrams of biotin per serving. When you're looking for an affordable, effective hoof supplement, we recommend Caraform Hoof and Coat Supplement. If you want a show ring shine and strong, healthy hooves, you can count on Caraform. You can learn more about Caraform at kppusa.com. Got questions about your feeding program? We can help. Email Karen at questions@kppusa.com or call us at 859-873-2974.
Well, tonight I am so happy to have my friend, but also just a wonderfully famous veterinarian, Dr. Hilary Clayton. She is also a PhD. She has published over 200 scientific articles and 7 books, and we are thrilled to have her. Hilary, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Reese.
I am so happy.
To it.
We actually hang out pretty often down here. We try to do fun things, and we were at food trucks on Friday or Thursday night, and we hung out on Friday, and I was like, you have to come on to the show. And so you couldn't say no because I had you strong on.
I tried.
I know she did. She's like, I have to go to the gym. I'm like, no, but we're really, this is an incredibly important topic that we want to talk about. There was an article that came out on Thursday, February 13th on DRESSAGE, and it's about nosebands. And you have been instrumental in the new taper gauge that has been developed. So we really wanted to take a step back and have you talk to us a little bit about what's happening and the research behind it. So I'm going to pass the baton to you.
Okay. Well, nosebands is a really hot topic, particularly, I think, in Europe, even more so than it is here. And in fact, the whole idea of what kind of pressures are we putting on the horse's face when we put the bridle on. So that's something that people have a lot of ideas about and sprout those ideas all over the place, but there wasn't a lot of data to back it up. So I work with a research group in the UK at Hartpury University, and we have access to little pressure mats. So the same sort of pressure mats that you put underneath the saddle to measure pressure of the saddle and the rider on the horse's back, except these are just little ones that we put underneath the front of the noseband, underneath the underside of the noseband, so over the mandible, and we can also put them over the horse's poll. So we can measure the pressure on the front of the noseband, on the undersurface of the noseband, and also on the top of the horse's head, all at the same time.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yes. So that's the technology we used. And then to sort of back that up, we have a couple of measures of whether the horse is stressed. So one of those is the rate at which the horse blinks. And the other one is a measure of eye temperature with one of those special devices that measures skin temperature and eye temperature. And then the other thing we're looking at is the behavior of the horses while they were standing, eating a treat, and being ridden. So it's a fairly comprehensive study, I think, and the various parts of it are in different stages of, getting written up and appearing for people to read.
And how many horses do you study, just out of curiosity?
Well, it varies with different studies. Usually we do a mathematical test to determine how many horses we need for it to be statistically valid. The first of these studies, we were using very high quality horses and riders. And of course, those are few and far between. So it's harder to get a large number in that group. But then since we've looked at the really experienced riders, we're now repeating a lot of the studies in sort of second, third level riders.
Oh, that makes sense.
So
that makes sense that you would
cover
get
the
a
spectrum.
different. Yeah. Right.
Well,
So
yes.
The big thing was you were trying to measure the pressure, right? Because in the FEI rule, and actually our USCF rules as well, it was 2 fingers had to be put under the noseband, right? But there's a lot of questions on whose 2 fingers and where they put it. And like, it's like you could eliminate someone, but it maybe isn't the same fingers. Like, and at the Olympics, it had to be someone with this, it had to be the same 2 fingers. So I think that's where this cage was. I mean, it makes sense, right? From a competition standpoint and a fairness to play, et cetera, right?
Well, and the other thing, like at regionals, when I was there, I used the same bridle. And between the 2 different days, I had 2 different ring stewards, and one said my noseband was fine and the other one didn't.
So yes, you guys are bringing up a lot of the issues that we were concerned about. So the 2-finger rule, where on earth did it come from? Don't know.
Yeah,
It was
I was
taught
going to
me in Pony Club about, over 60 years ago. Right. And, think back, the nosebands that we had in those days were like the ones that fox hunters wear, just a single leather strip over the front of the horse's face, no padding, but quite conformable. So it, a little bit matched the shape of the horse's head. So, the nosebands have changed. Whose fingers do we use? Where do we put them? Do we put them at the front? Which, if you're actually using fingers, is a horrible thing to do because, the horse opens his mouth and your fingers get crushed between the horse's bone and the noseband.
Hurts.
And that's why in the US we check noseband tightness at the side. Anyway, and what direction are the fingers in? Are they side by side or are they stacked up one on top of the other? There are so many variables. So a few years ago, the International Society for Equitation Science developed the taper gauge. So their taper gauge is the bright green one that you may have seen photos of it. You might have actually seen the gauge itself. And it's marked in 1 finger and 2 finger increments. So you push it up under the front middle part of the noseband towards the horse's eyes, which is perhaps not ideal, but you push it up as far as it goes. And when it stops going any further, then you read off, is it 1 finger laxity or 2 fingers laxity? That is really the only kind of validated tool we've had. So in our studies, we used that to set the tightness of the noseband. And we actually looked at 5 tightness levels. So we looked at 2 fingers, 1.5 fingers, 1.5, and 0 fingers. And I hate calling them fingers because I'm a scientist. We don't work in fingers. We work in centimeters and millimeters. But anyway.
Here we are. We got a little horse in there.
Yes. So anyway, the first of these studies, we looked at those 5 tightnesses, and we had just a Cavison noseband, and we put it on a group of horses. I think it was about 7 or 8 horses, and just had them standing and measured the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And as you would imagine, as the noseband got tighter, as we went from 2 towards 0 fingers, there was a little bit of an increase in the amount of pressure on the horse's face, but it stayed really low, even at 0 fingers.
Oh, wow.
Now, when you think about it, what does 0 fingers mean? Well, it means that the noseband is just draped across the horse's face. It's not indenting the skin. It's not compressing it. It's just the tightness that fits with the sort of exact shape of the horse's face. And I shouldn't say shape because it doesn't match the shape of the face. There's some areas where the horse's face is concave and the noseband just bridges across there. And that's a handy thing because those are often the areas where the important nerves and vessels are. So, even though when you look at a photo of a horse's head and it says, oh, here's where the great big infraorbital nerve comes out, well, that nerve is coming out in a sort of dip in the horse's face. So the noseband isn't pressed up against it, it's bridging across it.
That makes
sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does make sense because, again, you've got to test. So, but there was different categories, right? And when so it really didn't make a difference between, or was there a point where the fingers mattered?
Okay, so let me carry on and finish and then come back to that question because there are more parts to this study. So the next part was, we said, well, when the horse is just standing there, nothing's happening. We need some sort of a test as to how much pressure the horse finds obnoxious. And we've also been taught that a horse should always be able to take a treat and chew it if the noseband is loose enough. So we got some Spiller's horse treats that were donated, and they're all the same size. They're bigger than a lump of sugar, but they're all the same. And we offered them to the horses at all of those different noseband tightnesses, and every single horse ingested and ate the treat at every noseband tightness.
Oh, interesting.
So even when the noseband was sitting against the horse's face, they could still open their mouth, ingest the treat, and chew it. And they apparently didn't find that obnoxious or uncomfortable. It was, worth it to eat the treat.
Yeah. I feel them. I get it. I would be eating it too.
Me too.
Yeah. So we got reasonably high forces and pressures when they were chewing the treat, but they chewed very regularly. They had the same chewing frequency at all the different noseband tightnesses. So that was the second part of the study. And then the third part was that the horses went out with their usual riders, warmed up, and then we recorded them at walk, trot, and canter. And we focused mainly on the trot for this part of the study. So at the trot, what happens under the noseband is that every time a diagonal pair of legs hits the ground, the pressure on the horse's nose increases, and then it decreases. The next diagonal comes down, and it increases, and it decreases. And it's a very regular thing. So actually, the next study we're going to do is going to look at why we get these increases just during normal locomotion, increases in noseband pressure. Anyway, when we looked at the amount of pressure when the horses were being ridden, it was way lower, like roughly half of what the pressure was when they were chewing a treat.
Oh,
so
that's interesting. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yes. And, I wanted to kind of get an idea of, well, what does that feel like to the horse? And we don't have any studies that have really measured pressure over much of the horse's head. We've got some studies on pressure over the temporomandibular joint. And horses will willingly accept a lot more pressure than we had on their nose, with the noseband, even at 0 fingers tightness. And I also looked at people, what would be something equivalent to this 0 finger measurement. And it's roughly equivalent to wearing a mask, a surgical mask.
Mm.
So, it's not really uncomfortable. It's certainly not painful.
Mm.
So that's that. Now, what was the question you asked before that I said I would answer later?
Well, the question was going kind of back to the fingers. Was there any significant difference with the 2 fingers? Because
right. Yes.
There was a gauge. There was it's something that was developed through this, right?
Yes. So we measured the pressures for standing, which is like a continuous pressure, for chewing the treats, and while the horses were ridden. And both for chewing and for the ridden part of the study, it's a waveform that goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So we measured the minimum, the maximum, and the mean or average during every chewing cycle or every cycle of increase and decrease while the horses were ridden. And when we compared those across the different tightness levels, we found that 2 fingers and 1.5 finger were never different. We also found that 0.5 and 0 fingers, so the 2 tightest measurements, did not differ from each other. And the 1 finger tightness, sometimes it was the same as the 1.5, sometimes it was the same as the 0.5. It sort of floated around in the middle. So based on that, we could say that, well, there really is no difference in pressures between 2 fingers and 1.5 fingers. So why not go to 1.5 fingers and make that the new standard? So that's a little bit less than it was before, but it gives the riders the chance to just have the noseband a little bit closer to the horse's face.
Okay. And then what about the gauge, right? So then you developed a different gauge.
Yes, with the FEI, we developed a gauge, and it's a lot smaller, sort of sleeker than the old green one. It's black, so it's not so, bright and obvious. It goes in from the top downwards, so it's not poking up towards the horse's eyes. And it's developed to be pass or fail. So it goes in, it has a tapered end that goes in under the noseband. And then at its fattest place, it's equivalent to 1.5 fingers. So you push it in from above, and you just push it all the way through the noseband. And if it goes all the way through, then the horse has passed. And if it gets stuck and it won't go all the way through, then it's a fail.
This is a gauge that anybody can purchase now, right? Once it gets out.
Yes. The FEI are just starting to manufacture it, and I think they're going to change the way it's manufactured so they can get larger numbers of them made more quickly. And then, yes, they're going to be available for TDs and stewards to have, and also for riders and trainers to buy and use. And that will, allow you to know exactly which hole on your noseband is acceptable. And also the FEI tested it last year on hundreds of horses at CDIs in the various disciplines. And they had very few horses that wouldn't accept it. And the common things about the horses that didn't want to have this thing pushed down their nosebands, all those riders said, these horses are always difficult at the bit inspections and so on. So by having this tool at home, by owning one, you'll be able to practice with it and get the horses used to it. Yeah,
I love that. No, I think it's great. Anybody can buy it. It's on the FEI page. We think it's $21.50. Actually, Jen just typed it and said that it's available on the FEI page. So people can have this. And I do think it's good to practice. This is going to be something.
Absolutely. It's good to practice.
Yeah.
So that, the horses are not the least bit perturbed when somebody comes up beside them and just slides this thing through. And another thing about them is that they're very easy to disinfect. That was, obviously one of the really important criteria in designing it.
Now, will this gauge be used at national shows or just CDI shows?
At the moment, I think just CDIs, but I think it's for the national federations to decide whether they want to adopt it as the standard.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
so, we will see. There's no rules, right? There's no rules at this moment that it will be used at USEF national shows at this point.
No.
That's right. Okay.
And then my other question is, do we put the gauge in front of their nose or from the side?
At the moment, it goes right at the very front of the nose, the very middle of the nose.
Thank you.
Well, we are running some studies, though, looking at whether there's a place on the side of the face that will give equivalent or proportional measurements so that it might be an alternative.
Yeah. No, I love that. And just from a question from the article, because I have used padding on my horses before. Can you talk a little bit about padding, like for the actual nose of the horse and also the chin? Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Yes. So the two places where we get the highest pressure on the noseband are at the lateral edges of the nasal bone. So actually not right in the middle of the nasal bone, but where it curves at the edges, and then underneath the mandibles, the two mandible bones, where those are very close to the skin surface. So, and the mandible pressure is actually higher than the pressure on the horse's nose. So those are the places where padding would be good for the horse. And because we see that the pressure is sort of on and off, it makes sense to use a resilient type of padding that squishes down a little bit as the pressure increases and then rebounds as the pressure decreases. And things like felt are quite good for that.
Right. So essentially it does help.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because I've had some horses that love it. They especially the one right under the noseband is really helpful. So I saw that and I was like, oh, okay. And then talk to us a little bit about the actual pressure from the different types of nosebands.
Well, so the different types of nosebands we're looking at with the same amount of separation between the noseband and the horse's face. And we actually found that the average pressure under the Swedish noseband is higher at the same tightness level. Mm-hmm. But I think that's because there are areas of that noseband where the straps are not in contact with the horse's face. So it actually has a smaller sort of force or pressure bearing area.
Yeah.
And also, I think, if you look really carefully at your Swedish, formerly called crank nosebands, you can see that there's an area on either side of the chin pad where there's no padding at all. And that area really needs some padding.
Yeah. Interesting. I love it. Yeah. No, it's fascinating, and there's a lot of talk about this right now. And I think the FEI also has more information that you can find more information. And Dr. Clayton, you also have other articles that are coming out. There's a lot coming out right now, right, about this information if you want to find more information.
Yes, that's correct. And the way we have to do our articles is that we have to send them first to the scientific journals because, they want them first. Yeah. But then once they're published there, then we can get them out into the lay journals and, the places where horsemen are actually reading them.
Yes, where we will read them. Mm-hmm. I'm not reading the scientific journal, but yes. I can just ask you for the Cliff Notes version. which is awesome. I'm very thankful always for that. But yes, but there's more information that's coming out, and more, like you said, there's more research coming out on for the horse welfare. I mean, this is not the first thing that will come out, but we are so very thankful for your time. I promised you half an hour, so I don't want to go over our time, but thank you so much for your time and for all that you do for the horses and for us as well. So thank you so much.
That was super. Thank
It's
you.
been fun.
So we're going to take another break and we're going to listen to a new sponsor. This is very exciting. Glenn does an interview with Equine Discounts.
Well, we're thrilled to welcome a new sponsor to the show, and this one won't cost you any money. Its sole purpose is to save you money. And I have Tanis with me, and she is Senior Sales Manager of Equine Discounts. Tell us, what is Equine Discounts?
The Equine Discounts program is something that is put together that any horse-loving person that has an active equine membership can utilize our partnerships with major brands such as John Deere, Sherwin-Williams, Big Ass Fans, Office Depot, Farmers Insurance, and potentially others can help save money once you get set up with our program.
And, the part that I didn't know before I started talking to you guys is I always thought there was just a couple associations, and if you didn't belong to those associations, you weren't qualified, but that's not true, right?
No, and that's the great part. So we actually honor any equine association, large or small. So it can be a local, state, national. Of course, we have our large national partners such as the AQHA, USEF, USTA, USPA. The list goes on. But as long as you are a dues-paying member of any equine association, just reach out to us and we'll get you verified.
And that includes breed associations and all of them?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's great. See, that's the part I didn't know. And that's the part I really wanted to get the word out about, because the discounts you can get on some of these things are really good. John Deere, for example, talk about that.
So for John Deere, depending on how you qualify, the discounts can go up to 28% off. And it's a variety of equipment. It's all based on what you're purchasing, and that's how the discounts vary, but it could be anything from a lawn tractor to a large hay baler, anything in between. We actually have a very wide variety of units that we discount on.
And as you said, too, other companies out there, Big Ass Fans and Farmers Insurance, and there's a list on the website where they can go to find that. But the cool part is there's no membership fee here, right?
No. As long as you are in good standing with your equine association that you may be already a part of, or if you aren't and you still have horses, you can choose whichever one you would like to join, and then you are automatically able to use our discounts.
And how do you get the discount when you buy something? Is there like a code, or I realize you have to be signed up first, but how does it work?
So the easiest thing is to actually go to our website. We'll list all the different ways to reach out to us, equinediscounts.com. There is a phone number. You can text us. You can also email us. Just reach out to us. We'll be able to get you set up based on the discount that you're interested in. And there are different sales reps that cover different parts of the country and Canada that will be able to pass on the information for you.
So there's no membership fee other than the membership you already have with your association, your equine association, whatever that might be. And all they really have to do is go to the website, give you guys a call to get set up, and, especially do it if you're looking at making purchases on any of the things listed on the website.
Yes, exactly. And you can use them as many times as you want. It's not just a one-time use. And a lot of the other discounts can be saved to your current accounts, like with Sherwin-Williams or Farmers Insurance, for you to continue being able to use it.
And Tanis, I also understand that a percentage of every sale goes back into the industry. How does that work?
Yes, it does. So when you call in to get set up for our discounts, for example, if you are an AQHA member, we would tag that in our system. And once you complete your transaction, that sale will actually proceed to AQHA specifically. So that can happen through all the different national partners that we have.
Oh, that's great. Sounds terrific. What's the website again?
equinediscounts.com.
Well, tonight I am so happy to have friend of Megan and I, Kate Kostenbader, on the line. She has been a student of both of ours, and she's down here in Wellington making everything fun. Kate, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, let's see. I've been a teacher for 22 years in the public school system, and I am retired, so I have tons of time. I am a bronze medalist. I'm an L program graduate, currently in the instructor trainer program, the new revamp, and also the professional development program. And I'm a lifelong learner. Education is just a huge part of my life. I just love being down here, just so immersed in something I'm passionate about.
And is this your first year down there? Second, third?
This would be my fourth year coming down to Wellington on a tight budget with one horse.
Yep.
And I train with Ann Zazadlo.
Love it. So that's one of the reasons first of all, we adore you, Megan and I. So we wanted you on the show because we wanted to highlight you as, like you said, a lifelong learner. We see you everywhere, and it's so cool because you take advantage of Wellington. But tell us what you're doing. Again, I think whenever, and I'm sure Megan in California too, I mean, we're all on tight budgets here. But one of the things that's kind of a secret about Wellington is if you kind of know what's going on, there's actually quite a bit of a lot of it's free education here in Wellington. And that's what we wanted to talk about. We wanted to talk about sort of, you can make this work on a tight budget. We're all there and we all make it work. So tell us a little bit about sort of what you're doing on during the day.
Oh yeah. So to make it work, 4 years ago, I rented a room from Anne and worked for her at the barn, grooming and doing stalls, feeding and turnout. And in return, I earned lessons 5 to 6 days a week and the opportunity to watch her train her clients.
Oh, wow.
And then 2 years, I've lived in my RV right here at the barn.
Yeah.
I'm looking out the window right now at the range. And what's really cool is that our barn has really good positive vibes. It's no drama at all. We have a messenger thread that all of us are on, and we share schedules for ride times and share events to carpool to and share pictures of our accomplishments and, those quirky things that happen around the barn. Like we have an iguana that's living with my mare in her paddock.
That happens here. Yeah, that can happen. Mm-hmm.
I want pictures.
Yeah, we need a picture of this. We need receipts on this for sure for our show notes. But I love it. You and I bonded over being in a camper. I forget how maybe you heard it here in the show that I was living in my camper, and you and I bonded that year over camper life. Hashtag camper life. I only made it a year. Actually, I like living in my camper. I would live in my camper where Kate is, and who knows? I may be there next year. You never know. But where I am, my farm, which is actually interesting about Wellington, you can't have a camper everywhere. So where I changed barns, you can't have a camper here. It's just the HOA for the neighborhood. Yeah. So my camper is still in Kentucky, but we bonded, didn't we, Kate, over a camper life? I had to call you SOS overnight one night for a camper problem. I was like, help me. So I love it. That's so fun. No, and I think that's awesome. So you work a lot at the barn, right? You're there 7 days a week, I think.
I do. 7 days, 7 to 7, just about. And it's a lot of work, but it's worth it because it's something that I really like to do, and everybody's so positive. We have a great friendships here, and it just makes it all worth it.
And have you been able to go to any educational events around Wellington? Yeah. If so, what?
Yes. Yeah. So our barn goes to lots of different events, and then we sit together, and then we discuss it afterwards, and we have a lot of conversation about what we saw and what we learned there. And it's really rewarding to have so many different perspectives. And I have gone to many different educational events, and one is like just scribing. So I scribe at this. I did scribe for the Little R program at White Fences. That was really enlightening and rewarding. And then just scribed for regular shows, recognized shows. I've done that. And I attended the Trainers Conference with Mana Theater Rescue and Christine Trarig this year. That was amazing.
It was great. Amazing. It was a great conference. Yeah, that one was a good one this year.
The riders were top. It was great. It was really great. I go to the Show Chic Shop Talks. Show Chic is a tack apparel store, and they host these evening shop talks with such dignitaries as Hilary Clayton and JJ Tate, and we might be getting Marcus Orlov. So that should be cool. Then Dressage for Kids with Lyndon Gray hosts lectures at the high school location, and they have many speakers like Allie Brock and Laura King, Teresa Davidson, JJ Tate, Michael Orlov. Really great. They have panel discussions. I think we went to a lecture at the Wellington Golf Club with Dressage for Kids, and they had a panel of really well-respected athletes and trainers, and they discussed. It was like a Q&A. That was super cool.
That one was the state of the industry. That one was a good one too.
That's right. That's what Yep. And then the program that was formerly called the Robert Dover Horsemanship Clinic in January, and that's called the.
USCF runs it now. It's no longer, but it was the Horsemastership Clinic. Yes.
Right. I think it's called Horsemastership Training Series. I think that's what it's called.
That sounds right. Yep.
Yeah. And that's a global. And you can audit that. There are tickets to audit that, which are not very much, or you can drop by and peek over the fence a little.
Yes, yeah, you can. You can, yeah.
Yeah, I've done it. They're very nice.
Me too. And we've done it. I think we're ringside together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these events that you're talking about are free. The Dressage for Kids, they ask for a donation. If you're available or able to do that, they will happily take your donation, but they're covered by sponsors. They do a great job. The Dressage for Kids has wonderful programs throughout the year, but down here in Wellington, they have Zoom lectures that are also free. That's for everybody that isn't necessarily in Wellington, but all these are free. Again, sometimes you have to be kind of, that's a little bit the tricky part. You kind of have to know, but if you're in a barn like yours or you have a friend like Kate who is kind of in the know and they know, but it's usually pretty well publicized what's going on. Yeah. If you get on some of the Wellington threads, you can see in the global website. And then Friday Night Lights, right, Kate? Now they're the VIP tickets that are expensive, very expensive, but Friday Night Lights also is free. You pay the parking, which is $22. So it's fun to get, I'm not going to tell you how many people we have had in a car before to get in there, but it doesn't matter the people. It's the car. It's the car. That's at Global. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, it's every CDI week along with the horse shows at Global, right? Or White Fences. Right. There is a horse show here at Global, White Fences, or Jim Brandon every week during season. Yeah. There is a horse show. So if you are, what I do with a lot of students, and if let's say they want to show 4th level of Pre-St. George, then I say, okay, here's the show schedule. Go during that time, watch the classes you want to participate in. Right. Really sit by the ring, right, Kate, at Global. You can just sit there all day. It's free.
Right. Watching the warm up. You can watch the CDI ring warm up or the national warm ups. It's fantastic. It's just a great way. I share it with somebody because it's super fun to compare your notes with somebody else standing there. Really cool. Yeah.
If you sit at the top level of the breachers, now you have to make a seat for Kate and I if we're there. Oh, you can see the warm up and the horse show. Oh. So you can kind of turn yourself around. Now, if every row is, I'm going to be so proud of us we fill every top row of that bleacher set. But yeah, you can see both, which is really nice, right? So when there's not a horse show going on, and you can also see the running scores at equestrianhub.com. You can see the scores. So you can kind of watch. They don't have every score on that feed. They do on another feed in the tent, but you can see the scores that's coming up. So you can see kind of how your eye's doing as you see kind of, and usually the better horses go later in the class. Not always. It sort of depends on the draw, but typically your better horses will go later.
And do they live stream, Reese? So for people us,
Kate, don't they live stream during the week? I think they do. For sure Friday Night Lights is live streamed.
Yes, I'm quite sure they do, because I've heard people at home or in Texas watching it.
Yeah, Clip My Horse is where you can get that, or Chronicle of the Horse also. Their website will pull you there.
Just last weekend was Challenge of the Americas with the Grand Prix Quadro to benefit breast cancer, and that was fantastic. It was super good this year. They just put their all into these routines. It's really beautiful, really beautiful.
And that's quadrilles. Well, they have 2 horse and riders, and then they have 6, and they're all Grand Prix horses. And there's nowhere else in America that they do something like that, because it's really, and it is a lot of time and effort that each of those riders put into those teams. And it's to watch it. And we sit in the bleachers for that. That is so fun. You wear your pink and your money. There's no parking, but there is a $30 entrance fee this year, but the money goes to breast cancer research. So it's a charity event. So you feel pretty good about doing that.
Something I really look forward to. It's always good.
Yeah. And you can bring your food and drink, right, Kate? Sorry, I keep interrupting because I'm like, I forget to tell people this. You can bring a cooler in when you're in the bleachers. So you can bring dinner, you can bring wine and champagne. Not going to say that we don't do that every Friday, and sit with your friends and have a cocktail. And a lot of times everyone around you has charcuterie too. So there's like community passing. It's fun. It's a really fun event to do that, but they do have food there, but I think we always bring food in. I think our food's better. Probably.
I do too.
And cheaper. If you're going on a budget. Yeah. If you're balling on a budget, again, we all are, that is working. And Kate, I'm sorry, you were going to your next point.
No. And then, we went to the Kontiki restaurant for Equestrian's Got Talent show.
How was that one? I didn't make it to that one. How was that one?
It was wild. It was so packed and so fun. And the food was, Kontiki food is very, very good. And the talent was off the charts. I mean, the people that were like some of the top people were phenomenal. And then they got like the winners, or the voted the higher points, got tickets to go to the next round. So it was really fun. And I do believe that was a benefit, but I'm not exactly sure who.
It is. Yep. It's for youth dressage is where that goes. And a lot of times, it was a youth fundraiser for USEF, and which is great. And then a lot of the community comes as well. Like it's a big thing in the community too, which is really fun. So it's awesome. Yeah.
And then another thing is to attend the jumper shows over at WEF on Saturday nights. You can do polo on Sundays, and polo you do have an admission charge to get in. The jumper shows, I think you pay for parking.
Yep.
And then there's all the online programs that you could take advantage of, and Dressage for Kids has training for teachers, riding teachers, and Zoom lectures. And then, like you said, just watching the warm-up rings at Global and White Fences and Jim Brandon, you'll never be doing anything else but watch.
Yeah, exactly. If everybody is seeing how you're exhausted, we are typically pretty tired by the time we leave Wellington. Like sometimes I'm like, I just need to go watch a movie, or watch Love Is Blind on Netflix. Like I just need a break. But it is true. And that's why we wanted to bring this segment on, because Kate and I were talking, and you're so sweet to come on, because I'm really passionate about the fact that there is education here. you do need to kind of know where to look. So Kate and I are happy to be a part of that and help you, but you can make this work. And like Kate said, even in retirement, you can make this work. So I'm just so thankful that you came on and you can tell everybody about how much fun we have. And I think we're both here for 4 months, right? Are you 3 months?
I here beginning of December to the second week of April.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah. You're
nice.
here. Yeah. You're here a little bit longer than me even. And which is great.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, you got to have lessons. Like that's why I'm here is to get better with my horse and learn more. And it's the time that I'm here is also so important to have so many lessons in one season, because we have the chance to tear things down and rebuild them. And you can't do that with, a clinic here and a clinic there, and it's so important to me to be able to, get back to that true, pyramid of training and really, really, immerse myself in correct riding. So I don't know what I'd do if I couldn't come down here. Yeah,
I love it. Well, it's so true. I think it's why the three of us are all in respective places training, right? We're all, and Megan, I don't know about the scene in California. That may be another segment you do, but down here, the other thing, it's just nice because a lot of times there's also time to get together with friends and other riders and talk about things. And I have just, trainer friends come for dinner. We do kind of a potluck dinner couple times a month where a bunch of trainers get together. You think you're going to have time at a horse show. You do not. We're all working. We're all busy. And, even same thing at the clinics, like it just doesn't work. But here, Monday, Tuesday night, it's like, hey, let's just, get together and have some spaghetti and sit down and chat. And that's been so fun. And I do recommend that everybody takes advantage of that too. So just so many opportunities here. And we wanted to highlight it. And Kate is amazing because I see her everywhere. It's like we're high-fiving each other everywhere we go. And I love it. So Kate, thank you so much for your time tonight and coming on. You were amazing.
Bye. See you. Bye.
Bye. 50-pound feed bags, bulky supplement tubs, and gallon fly spray refills, no problem. At Chewy, every order over $49 ships free, so you can stock up on all your horse's favorites without heavy lifting. Order online or in the app and let Chewy deliver everything they need. Fast and free, right to your barn, and you can spend more time with your horses. Start shopping now at chewy.com/equine. And let me tell you guys, I personally do this all the time. I think my landlord hates me, but I don't care. I am so thankful because I hurt my back a couple weeks ago and I really, truly couldn't go get dog food. Like that wasn't an option. So it was wonderful to have it delivered right to my little door and I could feed dogs. So that's horse products too. I also, in anything I needed, it's great. It's so easy. And a lot of times, to go even in Wellington, I am not far from every tack store, which is a bad problem, but I prefer Chewy because I am very disciplined about what I order and it comes right to my door. The next day, it's amazing. So I use Chewy literally every week. So I hope you do too. Well, this is a sad note, Megan. Last week, we lost our longtime editor, Neil Giarte. He worked with us for many years. I don't think I've ever apologized to someone that I've never met in person as I did to Neil. So I just wanted to shout out. We lost another member of our team here, which was really hard. But he was wonderful. And I never met him in person, but he was always so kind. And especially when Philip and I were learning and getting better. And one time we actually got a note from Neil that he was like, that was a much better show, guys. And I had to laugh because I think we were so bad. So Neil made us sound wonderful for many, many years. So he also went way too soon. So heavy heart. We had to give him a shout out because he was so wonderful. And you guys, it's always good when you don't know who our editor is because that means they're doing their job. So he, I think, knew way more about dressage than he ever wanted to, and had to have to thank him. So heavy heart as well on that one. Well, and we want to remind everybody that we have the book club book going. It is Build a Better Athlete with Leslie Webb. We're really excited. We should be wrapping that book up in April, and USCF will have a webinar with that coming up. So that's, again, Build a Better Athlete, and you get that at horseandriderbooks.com. As always, you can find our show notes and links to today's guest on our page at horseradionetwork.com. Search Dressage Radio Show. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email, if you need me, is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
And my website is lindenhoff.com, and my email is lindenhoffllc@gmail.com. Thank you to our sponsors, Kentucky Performance Products, Chewy, and Equine Discounts. If you'd like to support our show and the Horse Radio Network, you can do that through the Auditor Program found at horseradionetwork.com. Keep on kicking on.